Yes, my friends, we are in here. We are live for Fantasy Intervention. And yes, we have a surprise for you. Oh man, I bet you guys could not wait to see what is behind that mask. We have the reveal party. We have the reveal party going on for Daddy's Home FF. And of course, we had to bring in Beezy for that. So what's going on, man? How you doing, Beezy?
I'm hanging in, my man. How are you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. I'm really excited to see Daddy's Home's mustache over there. I cannot wait. Cannot wait for him to pull that mask down and let us see the nose ticklers over there. Oh, man, I cannot wait. But yeah, Beezy, real quick, let everybody know where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at the BeezyBFF. You can also find me and my crew, all of our work over at the Undroppables, cantcutlass.com, and check out the pod at Unscripted. And also Sons of Dynasty, part of that crew with D Brown, Linda Lyons, and brother Matt.
Oh, very nice. Very cool. Yeah, we love your stuff, man. We had to have you on. You had to be a part of our, all-star lineup going forward on Wednesday. So I'm excited to have you on, man. Mike.
Much love.
Mike, what's up there? What's going on? Why do you have on a mask? Can you tell us?
Oh, man. So I had a few cocktails during our last live stream with Dingus and Calvin, and I kind of popped off a little bit at the mouth. Troy King was on, Linda was on, and I was looking at Troy, and we were talking about Kirk Cousins. And Calvin was so set that Kirk Cousins was a trash play because it was prime time. And I went ahead and bet my beard that Kirk Cousins would finish top 12. Seattle's defense was trash. Everything was trending. Justin Jefferson was taken off. Thielen was on fire. Guaranteed play, made the statement, and boy, did he shit the bed. Calvin was right. And now I don't know if I look like Farva from Super Troopers, if I look like a fat Freddie Mercury. It's been Mario, but literally the past 2 days around the neighborhood have been hell. And I am rocking a stash right now under this mask.
Oh, man. Are we going to have to do like drum roll for you to reveal it? How are we going to do this?
So I think we're going to jump right into the segment. We have a little spot where we do the recap, and I think we'll bust it out when we get into that recap segment.
Busting it out. I like it. I like to bust it out from time to time, man. I have fun busting it out.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Oh, God. Man, I'm excited for this. I'm really, really excited for this. So let's go ahead and hop into it. Mike, you want to give us the start to the show sheet? You want to kind of tell everybody what's going on tonight?
Absolutely. It's the same as we always do it. We're going to recap our week 5 calls. We're going to do our post waiver ads. We're going to give you those flex plays that have really sweet matchups, and then give you the start sits outside the consensus starters on ESPN. That is the top 20 running back and wide receivers and top 15 quarterbacks and tight ends for the upcoming week 6.
I like it, man. I like it. So go ahead and kick us off with the first segment.
All right. So one of the things we always promise you is we're going to keep the same energy no matter how we roll. And we had a couple banging weeks. I mean, we fired off 2 weeks in a row that were winning people money. And then week 5 happened. So let's get into our recap. And I will tell you that first off, if you listen to our Jamison Crowder call, he was coming in at ESPN wide receiver 28. We said he is your smash play. Get him in your lineup. He came in at wide receiver 7. You can't be upset about that.
No, you can't. That's a good thing.
Not be upset with that one.
Man.
Chase, if you took a look at your DFS calls, I mean, Fulgham and Claypool popping out. You hit the nail on the head there, unlike your stupid co-host who went Ebron. But tell him, I mean, I know you hit those too hard.
Oh, man, I knocked those out of the park, of course. I have a process in order to find out who's going to actually produce and who doesn't. And I had unfortunately, I had Boykin in there, which didn't really work out. But I had Fulgham, Claypool, I had Fells, and I had Chase Edmonds. And then I had Jeff Smith, but then obviously over there, Rosalie Michaels told me to get the hell off of Jeff Smith. So we canceled that one out. So I ended up hitting on everybody except for Boykin. So I was pretty stoked on that whole DFS platform. But either way, I mean, we still nailed some other things as well. And we actually had a pretty overall successful week when it came to our picks. Beezy, did you have anything? Did you have anything that you actually hit out of the park this past week?
Well, actually, it was the Claypool. I ended up picking him up off the waivers, and quite a few leagues started him, and he just went off. Actually, it was 3 super flex leagues where I didn't have a backup quarterback or a second quarterback. So I popped him in there just for like, and it was funny too, because I caught this like 2 weeks ago. Your Andy Isabella call. I had just been talking to a group on Twitter, and I had said Andy Isabella's a guy, and then I went through and I saw that you had been like Andy Isabella, and I'm like, woo, we got to see how this works out, and that worked out real nice too.
So, but my big time over there is sitting there saying, keep the mask on to hide the ugliness behind the mask.
Bo.
But are we going to go ahead and unveil this real quick?
Yeah, so let's talk about Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins was the quarterback 22. I bet top 12. The man came in top 16. And you know what? Mama didn't raise no bitch. We pay our bets. And this is what the face looks like now. I don't know if I should be delivering your pizzas. I don't know if I'm pulling you over and giving you a ticket. Maybe I'll eat myself a mushroom and grow bigger. I'll start yelling car ramrod. It's been a bitch this week. I have to stay 300 yards away from the school to pick up my kids. They're fucking exhausted having to walk to the car. I mean, there is a lot going on with this face right now, but none of it is attractive. So,
oh man.
But that's what we do.
Get the screenshot in. Get the screenshot in. Smile. Yes. Yes. Oh, man, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm hoping that I'm actually getting my comments in from Facebook because I'm not seeing them right now. Do we have any Facebook people in the chat? Anyways, let's go ahead and go over what else we got wrong. There was one other thing that really stood out to us, right? What was that?
So we had 2 big misses. The first one was Jerick McKinnon. To be honest, when we made the call, wasn't certain what was going on with Mostert, but even if we knew he was going to play, you couldn't expect they were going to just flat out go away from McKinnon. Just sat him in the bench, afterthought. I mean, that's just something that realistically never going to expect that from a coach. McKinnon was going off with Mostert out. I expected to ease him in, but instead they went right back to bell cow back Mostert, and we got basically nothing out of McKinnon this week.
Yeah, that was a bummer for me. What do you think about that, Beezy?
Well, Mostert played 53% of the snaps. So, he is one of those guys where he is just extremely efficient with his touches. I mean, he only had 11 carries, and he ripped them off for almost 100 yards. So the thing with Mostert is he's a perfect back for this system. He's better than McKinnon. I'll stand by that. I've stood by that all year. This guy has got, our high RB2 upside every single week, and can just continue to roll with. As long as Mostert's healthy, McKinnon is not going to be a thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough with McKinnon. I mean, he is a great third down back for that system, but Mostert is the guy, and he will remain to be that guy as long as he's healthy, especially after receiving a second contract. So, I like McKinnon. I think that he's not droppable right now. He's an undroppable asset, as you might say.
Ooh, I like that.
But yeah, I'm not playing McKinnon up until he shows me something with Mostert being in the game. Because 53% of the snaps isn't a ton for running back. I mean, if you're talking like bell cow, like you're talking like 60 to 70% of the snaps at least. So McKinnon still has a chance to get in there. We just got to see, what the game plan is, and also follow some of those teams that are bad at defending the pass up against the running backs. So,
and then, like I said, with that offense, some running back is going to produce out of there. Shanahan's going to get something out of somebody. So you want pieces of it, even if it's a backup, just roll with it.
Oh, man, they're telling you to put it back on. They're telling you to put it back on.
Look at that. Glamour shot Bo is giving me shit now, huh?
All right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and jump into the next segment now.
Absolutely. So our next segment is those post-waiver ads, and I have to say we had to cheat a little bit here. Given the fact that we use ESPN for our rostership, they are not running their waivers until tomorrow. So these numbers might be a little off, but we tried to give you those folks that are under 60% for your shallow leagues and then under 20% for your deeper leagues. So people should keep an eye on, especially when the waivers clear. If you didn't see the guy come off the board, if maybe you had someone else in mind, these are the folks that might be available to you.
And with the waivers getting pushed back a week, we actually added in a few more than we would normally, highlight, just because for ESPN leagues, they're pushing waivers back till tomorrow. So we did add in a few more just from, the normal waivers. But you want to go ahead and hop into yours first?
Absolutely. So if you watched the waiver show we had yesterday, My first one you already heard about is Chase Edmonds. Absolutely the better of the two Arizona backs. I mean, broke off a big run, caught 5 passes. Drake was nothing until we got to the end of the game. He needed how many touches to make this happen? 19 touches for 62 for Drake. Edmonds got 92 and 8 touches. I think his time is here. I always worry about him exploding because Kyler Murray's still going to get his, but I think Chase Edmonds is the back to own in Arizona at only 46% in a position that you're starved for production. This is a guy I'd be grabbing on every one of my rosters. Should be in the high 90s at this point.
Yeah, I mean, how is he only in 46.5% of leagues? That's nuts to me. He's the lead back over there, in my opinion. What do you think, Beezy?
It's trending that way for sure. And, one of the things I've been kind of looking at is that, with Arizona, their contract situation with Drake, I mean, they want to see what they have with Edmonds and probably at some point Benjamin.
Yes.
Why would they want to pay Drake this buttload of money if they can get these two guys on rookie deals and just run that offense? So I think it's starting to trend that way, and it's not a good thing for Drake truthers.
Well, I don't like the play calling that they've used for Drake so far with the routes that he's running in the passing game. He's not getting involved, and it's something where I don't like Drake. I'm not a big Drake fan. I thought people were crazy drafting him in the second round, nuts. So with Edmonds, he actually struggles to stay healthy. So, like you said, I think we will see an Eno Benjamin moment. Mm-hmm. But I had a preseason call. Actually, I had a call back way like in the offseason early on where I thought that Aaron Jones will actually land in Arizona.
Ooh, that's a sexy pick right there. I like that.
They have the salary cap space, and you know that he's probably going to demand more than what the Packers are willing to pay, especially with having A.J. Dillon there, and still maybe re-signing Jamal Williams most likely. So, I mean, it's a perfect fit. It's the perfect system, and Aaron Jones does great in the passing game. They can have him on wheel routes. They can have him going on deeper routes because he can catch the ball a little bit better than Drake, in my opinion.
I love that call. We just had a big discussion on that with Aaron Jones' contract on Unscripted last week.
Yeah, that might be the only landing spot where he keeps or maybe even gains a little value. There aren't many where he fits as well as Arizona, though, is perfect.
Yeah, I had Miami as well, but we'll get on to that at another time. I just think that Aaron Jones actually could end up, in a very advantageous situation. So, you ready for mine?
Let's do
it. Beezy, do you have one?
Yeah, but for the waivers?
Yeah, give me one.
Let me hit you up with one real quick. Like I said, it's actually my first time using ESPN in years. So I had to get a little bit used to it. But T. Higgins for the Cincinnati Bengals. If you haven't gotten this kid yet, you need to go do it. First 2 games were nothing exciting, but this is also what you can consider the preseason in a sense because there was no preseason. Last 3 games, 13 receptions on 24 targets, 179 yards, 2 touchdowns. AJ Green is getting phased out. I mean, you can see it. I would not be surprised if he was moved or let go within the next week. And you want a piece of this offense. This is the kid to get because he's going to be growing with Burrow and wheels up for him. I'm super excited. At this point, he's starting to fly right up my rankings.
Yeah, I like that take. It's going to be interesting. I'm not going to pick him up and play him this week because I think they play Baltimore, don't they? Or was that last week?
They do play. No, they did. Yeah, I can't remember who they play this week. I was just looking at it actually.
It's not a great matchup, but he is getting the targets and his snaps are increasing. So I do like that take a lot. I don't know why he's not rostered in more leagues.
He's playing Indy.
Yeah, and they have one of the best pass defenses so far in the NFL this year, right?
They do, but you know what though? If I'm in with the way this leagues are going this year, he's a flex play for me just because they're going to be putting so much focus on Boyd. Green's going to be out there, Mixon. So I actually like him as a sneaky play there in the flex.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if you caught, they had a video running around Twitter as well, AJ Green looking for a trade. So he's already frustrated with the fact he's getting phased out.
Oh, I missed that.
Yes. He said it. He was just trade me if you're not going to use me.
Exactly.
Oh, man. That's powerful.
He's the next Le'Veon Bell. Gone.
Mine is going to be Damian Harris.
Oh.
Right? Damian Harris, he had 17 rushes for 100 yards, if I remember correctly. And I mean, he's coming off a bye, right? Because they had to postpone it. So people are kind of forgetting about him. He's kind of getting lost in the sauce with all the hot new pickups. He's up against Denver this week, which makes it even more, likely that he's going to be dropped because I think Denver's number 1 up against running backs. However, the schedule after that is just insane. It's absolutely insane. Plus, the run blocking efficiency over there in New England is first in the NFL. If I have Damian Harris, I'm grabbing him in hopes that he can seize a starting role, but it does make me nervous because he is a New England Patriots back. So I'm going to wait, see how he's utilized up against Denver before I roll him out after that.
Absolutely, 100%. He was a guy that I was touting all summer as a must-grab late-round dynasty running back. Just stash him. New England always has a top 15 running back somewhere. It's usually James White, but there's always someone that's relevant somewhere. So he is a kid that I really, really like a lot, and I think he actually fits that offense better than Sony Michel.
Woo! Ooh,
yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, what you got, Mike?
All right, so next one we have up on the docket here is Henry Ruggs, the burner for your Las Vegas Raiders. They brought him in to be able to compete with the speed of the Kansas City Chiefs. They're lining him up all over the field. And he's a guy who I love. He's that Will Fuller type, only needs those few touches to make it happen. And last week he did it with a 72-yard touchdown that gave him a 100-yard game. I think him and Edwards are going to combine to be studs on that team. Alglor's taking a little pressure off now that you can see that he actually knows how to catch. But Ruggs is the guy they're looking for. He's getting the targets. They're going to make sure that they get that first-round value out of him. I absolutely love Henry Ruggs, another 48% guy that I can't figure out. All this dead weight on your rosters right now. Get him in there, put him in your lineup, and expect those big league-winning weeks. Those are the guys I love. Person who can take your matchup and win it on his own, and that's Henry Ruggs.
I like it, man. I like it. I've liked Ruggs since the beginning. He was one of my dynasty risers, throughout the season. So I'm a fan of him, and I don't think that he's just going to be a deep ball type guy. And Derek Carr has been an absolute monster start of the year, which you predicted with a better supporting cast. He's going to improve. I have him finishing out as, I believe, quarterback 8 on the season. So we'll see how that goes. But I love Henry Ruggs to be an assistant in that system. What about you, Beezy?
No, we've actually been a big fan of Ruggs over at the Sons of Dynasty. We were all over this kid. I mean, it sucks he's only getting 3 targets, but that should eventually start to grow as he gets a little bit healthier. Because he's been out for 2 games. So, but it's nice to see that he's got those burners back, and he just kid's got speed, man. He's quick. Love him.
Yeah. So my next guy is Fulgham, right? 10 receptions, 150 yards. Could be the lead wide receiver in this system. Young guy. The Eagles really like him. He's at ODU, which is actually right down the street from my house, but he dominated at ODU. Now, that is a smaller school, obviously, but he needs time to progress, and he's starting to get that. I believe he was drafted in the 4th or 5th round for the Lions. Now him coming over to the Eagles and being a major part of this offense going forward, I like him over Claypool as a pickup, to be honest with you.
That's an interesting one. I don't know. This feels like a trap, honestly, to me. This kid's been on a lot of practice squads, kind of working his way up. I mean, is this the opportunity that he had needed to break out? Maybe. But, I know D-Jax, Alshon Jeffrey, nothing crazy, but they are coming back. Rager's going to come back. And not Ertz. Why am I... Gada is coming back. So there's
what was that? Can you say that again?
Gada.
I'll take it.
So, these guys are going to come back, and they're going to command targets. And that is where I think it's going to get a little bit tricky with him. So while they're out, yeah, you're going to want to grab him and even Greg Ward. But long-term, I don't know, man. I just think I don't think he's going to be consistent for you down the stretch.
Pick that.
Yeah, see, I'm on board with the and you heard it Tuesday, Fulgham over Claypool for me as well. Ooh. This is a kid who was getting the targets. He made the most of it. Wentz has made gold out of trash before. This kid is a player. What I saw from him was real. High pointing, making the cuts. D-Jax, Alshon, legitimately, Beezy, I will buy all the beers when we hang out in Manchester if you see both of them on the field at the same time once this year. It ain't going to happen, but I got you if that happens.
All right.
Going to have his spot. I think he's a solid 5 to 7 target guy. Absolutely going with him on a week-to-week basis. Claypool's going to be more boom or bust.
Just real fast with Claypool. If Deontay Johnson is out, Claypool is going to be the second guy in that offense. Now, listen, I'm telling you right now, things are not looking good for Juju going forward with Claypool starting to step up and look the part. Now, this was a big game. This is not going to happen again. Everybody's got to get off the 4 touchdowns, but should have been 5. And they got to be, level it down. But he's making himself a role in that offense. And, I would not be surprised if he was more consistent throughout the year as it progresses, because I think he's that good.
I think it could actually be a good thing for Juju Smith-Schuster for Claypool to actually excel, because Juju should be the number 2 option coming out of the slot in that offense.
Great.
Now, let's go ahead and answer this question real quick. Where do we think that Bell lands? Let's just give one-word answers because we already fallen behind on the show sheet. I'm going Chiefs.
Cardinals.
Bills.
I love the Bills.
The report is he actually wants to go to Miami, by the way.
So. It is, yeah.
Yep.
I like the Bills because they don't have any running backs, so they need somebody.
Absolutely. All right, so why don't we just kind of burn through these next ones? You guys jump in when we need to. Next on the list, I have Austin Hooper. 17 targets in the last 2 games, 5 catches in each, double-digit points in 2 straight. He's looking like a low-end tight end 1. It seems like Baker learned how to use him, so I'm picking him up wherever I can. I actually have him over Ertz for the rest of the year. I think he's solid, not spectacular, but that's all you're going to be looking for in the tight end position if you don't have one of those top 3.
Love it.
Take that.
All right. I'll shoot one off real quick. I didn't know what his ownership was, but Laviska Shenault, if you don't have this kid, you need to get him now if he's on the waivers. Led the Jaguars in targets, receptions, and receiving yards this week. Played 80% of the snaps. He's the number 26 wide receiver overall in PPR leagues right now, and he's only scored 1 touchdown. We don't know his ceiling, but his floor so far has been about 10 fantasy points a week. That's solid. Get that into your lineup. Wheels up.
I like that. He's going to come up later in the show as well.
All right.
Robert Tonyan, we don't really need to talk about because I've been pumping Robert Tonyan down people's throats, but he's still only 50% owned, so grab him if you don't have him. Deeper leagues. You want to go ahead, take this, Mike?
Absolutely. So deeper leagues, we already talked about the first name, which is Derek Carr. Double digits every week, crazy efficiency, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. He said double-digit touchdowns every week but week 1, and he's coming off of back-to-back 300-yard games. He has tools all of a sudden, absolutely fantasy viable, starter, sitting on the waiver wire at 15% right now.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to go ahead and say Dalton is a must-add in that system, especially in deeper leagues or 2 quarterback leagues. So he's a must-add. I don't think we need to talk about that. But I do want to talk about the most underrated running back in the NFL, Mike Boone.
Ooh.
Mike Boone, who had 2 carries last week for 19 yards, could see an opportunity to get a higher snap percentage or a snap percentage at all because he really hasn't had one. Last year, while seeing at least a 30% snap share, he was RB 13 or better in 2 out of those 3 games. But people have a salty taste in their mouth about him, right? They don't like this guy because of the fact that the 1 week that he didn't actually produce RB 13 or better, he completely imploded and blew up people's fantasy championships in week 16. So people can't stand. There is not a more hated player in the entire fantasy community than Mike Boone right now. I'm telling you guys. Right after that, he ended up blowing up, and I think he was RB7 that following week in week 17. So with Madison behind Cook, he saw a 36% snap share. And honestly, I don't think that the talent gap between Madison and Mike Boone are as big as Madison and Cook. So I think that, honestly, Mike Boone could actually see a higher than 36% snap share. With Dalvin Cook likely to be out and Atlanta ranking 27th up against the running back, Boone could actually be that sneaky play that nets you a win. I mean, Minnesota running the 6th most plays while having the 8th best run blocking rate. Dude, you can't go wrong with Mike Boone. That is, unless he doesn't play. But I have him playing this week. I think he's going to crush it. And in deeper leagues, I'm not talking about, 12-team leagues. I'm talking about, 14, 16-team leagues or leagues where you start, 3 running backs and 3 flex spots. I think that Mike Boone is actually an option this week. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him come away with, 40 to 60 yards and a touchdown.
I like that. All right, I'll jump in real fast. I'm going to give you a really, really deep, more of a name to watch and get on quick if something happens. Ty Johnson out of the Jets. Listen, I know he burned people in Detroit.
Oh,
and,
man.
But he just got signed to the Jets, and then the Jets released Le'Veon Bell. This kid is a burner, absolute speed demon. If he was in the combine, he would have beat Justice Hill for the fastest running back in the 40. Honestly, is there an opportunity there? Yes. Will he take it? Who knows? But Pirine, Gore, I mean, come on.
Subpar athletes.
Yeah, this kid has got an opportunity to carve out a role, even if it's in the passing game in a PPR league. I would put him on your radar as a must watch.
I'll take it. I'll roll with that for sure.
I can't call him back after he screwed me and didn't even kiss me afterwards. I can't. I can't. I have too much self-respect. You guys do you, but no, it ain't happening again. I learned my lesson.
Oh, man, I love that. I love that.
Next one on our list. I legitimately don't know how loud I have to say Darnell Mooney before people start picking him up. 1.8% ownership. If he had a high school quarterback under center last week, he had a 41-yard touchdown dead to rights. I mean, he had the cornerback by 5 yards. This kid has completely stomped out Anthony Miller. He's getting 65% of the snaps. Miller's only getting 41, 19 targets in 3 games. Foles is going to get better. He is going to be able to put the ball in his hands, and Mooney is getting open all over the place. This 1.8% is an absolute joke. He is a 12-team bench player, a 14-team starter. This is someone you need on your roster, and he's going to put up numbers for the year's out.
I agree with you. I mean, he's dominating the snaps, and I've talked about it every week. You know, they need a guy that can stretch the field. They need a guy that can get yards after the catch. They don't have anybody that can do that. Darnell Mooney's the guy. Now, I got a guy that is interesting because you brought him up earlier, and Nelson Aguilar, right? He has a bye this week, so you might not need to pick him up this week, but I personally would just to make sure that I get him. He has 2 consecutive weeks of double-digit fantasy points and 3 touchdowns in 5 games. It's not like he's doing this up against easy matchups either. I mean, all the defenses that he's faced, outside of one, is in the top half of the league up against the wide receiver. The one that isn't is the New England Patriots, which we know, that's a tough passing defense. It's just teams are getting volume up against them. 3 of his next 6 matchups are up against teams in the bottom 10 in the league up against wide receivers. And he's led the team in snaps the past 3 weeks, even with Ruggs returning this past week. I think you can feel safe like rolling him out there in a few lineups. He's always been a good receiver. He just has issues with drops, which Mike, you brought that up earlier. So far this season, he has 0 drops and 100% of a true catch rating, which means that, that's factoring away balls that he's not able to get a hold of. He's catching everything that's inside of his catch radius. Not to mention 75% on contested catches. Like, that's sick. That is sick. I mean, should I keep going, guys, or have I talked you into it yet?
No, I was already on it, my man. You had me right there.
I like it. Mike?
All right, so closing us out here on mine, we have Cameron Brate. This is a call I actually hit on the Vipers podcast. 5 to 7 targets, 50 yards, potential touchdown each week. This week he didn't come up with a touchdown, but did hit that 6 for 44. Again, absolute wasteland of a position. You're looking for those guaranteed targets. Everyone went wild over Gronk. Brate's the guy who's going to be that solid contributor. PPR leagues, you're going to be looking at 9 to 12 points. If you don't have a top guy, that's about all you can look for in the tight end position. I don't want someone like Ali Cox who's going to be up and down. I like those guaranteed points, and that's what I think Brate's going to produce with Howard now on the IR.
It's weird. It's really weird. Did you guys notice how they try to force feed Tanner Hudson this past week? Yeah. And I like Tanner Hudson.
Yeah. Yep.
His athletics, his measurables and measurements, metrics and measurables are through the roof. I actually like Tanner Hudson a lot.
I do too. I'm a fan, but I'm with the Brate call, especially with this late in the season. Brady loves his tight ends. OJ Howard gone. They paid Brady a lot of money to play that position, so they're gonna get him out there and feature him in that position. So I'm about it.
All right, let's roll with it. What's the next segment? What we got, Mike?
Next up, we have our flex plays with matchups that we want to exploit going into week 6. So kicking us off, admittedly, I did just see him come up with a toe injury, so keep an eye on this. But if Antonio Gibson is good to go, It is wheels up. I know a lot of people made this call last week. It didn't quite explode the way we wanted them to, but the Giants are a great matchup for Gibson's particular skill set. They're allowing 92 rushing yards and 5 receptions per game to opposing running backs. This makes Gibson absolute PPR gold. I'm putting him everywhere that I can. He's on the verge of a breakout, and I think this is that week. I expect him to get a receiving touchdown. I expect him to get him on the outside. So if he's healthy and monitor that injury situation, I always hate these late week additions to the injury report. But if he's ready to roll, he did do limited practice, which tells me it's not turf toe like Philip Lindsay. He would have been out altogether. If he plays wheels up against the Giants, I'm expecting big things. I'm actually going 20 PPR points for Gibson this week.
Woo! That's fire. I like it, though. I honestly love Gibson.
I do
love
too.
Gibson.
Big
So,
fan.
Beezy, do you have somebody you want to go before me? Do you have somebody that you're
Yeah.
playing as a flex?
Yeah, I'll drop one in here. I'm gonna get on my own hype train here and get my boy DeAndre Swift back in the talk again.
Yes. Yes.
Swift was my league winner for 2020, and I think we're gonna finally start to see this. He's getting about 30% of the snap share, which isn't great with Adrian Peterson, Kerryon Johnson. I get it, but he's getting about 4 to 5 targets a game, and he's got at least 11 fantasy points in 3 of 4 outings so far. And he had one big outing that was a woof because he only played like 2 snaps the entire game. But this kid's talented. This is Alvin, in my opinion, the next Alvin Kamara. I mean, that's how much I love this kid. So this week, Jacksonville, pop in your flex. I think it's going to be a shootout. Let's go.
You don't got to talk to me about Swift, man. I have him as my RB2 for the rookies, by the way.
Ooh, I love it.
Jonathan Taylor, then DeAndre Swift. And it wasn't for Jonathan Taylor's landing spot, I would have Swift above him. I think Swift is the better running back.
I agree with you. I'm right there with you, man. Been there all the
100%.
time.
Although Beezy did see a Swift tweet from me and then stole him from me in the unscripted draft. Wasn't thrilled about that.
Yes.
Literally tweeted it out.
That
Give me
sucks.
Swift over CEH while we're drafting. And all of a sudden I see this sly smile come up on the draft board and boom, he's gone. I'm like, you son of a.
Dude, don't. I was waiting. The minute I see somebody say Swift in a draft, dude, I'm on it because I know that it's not going to last very much, not a lot longer.
No doubt.
So Frank Gore should have a hell of a week, right? He's got Miami. They're 26 up against the running back. I hate saying this. Like, I wanted to pick P. Ryan, but then I saw the running backs that got points up against up against Miami so far. I didn't want to say this. This is gross for me to say. It's hard for me to spit out, but Sony Michel had a decent week. Chris Carson, Raheem Mostert, James Robinson, they're all pretty much the same guy. This is what Gore does. I mean, I pulled up the charts on Next Gen Stats, and I was going to share them on here, but I just didn't have time to get them up. But I mean, literally, like, if you go and look at Next Gen Stats and you go look at like Chris Carson and Frank Gore and their running style, they're almost identical when it comes to the charts they're running. It's the same thing with all these running backs. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to me.
Yeah. I don't even know, man. It's like if people are starting Frank Gore, if you got to, you got to. But
it's Miami.
I know. I just Flacco, Frank Gore. I mean,
what's the odds he gets in the end zone? I'm going like 70% chance he gets in the end zone at least once.
I'll call it a 60.
Miami's allowing 1.4 rushing touchdowns per game. 1.4.
It's Joe Flacco and Frank Gore.
I know it's gross. And it seems like a team that would have been great back 10 years ago. Yeah. This was a Super Bowl team 10 years ago, guys. This is a Super Bowl team. Let's go ahead and throw Demaryius Thomas back on this roster and call this a Super Bowl team, right?
100%. I love it. Yep.
Oh, man, if Demaryius Thomas was still with the team, that would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing. So, yeah, I think that Frank Gore is a flex option this week. I really do. I think you can roll him out and feel safe about it. That's the scariest part, is feel safe. I mean, Miami has good offense. They're going to be in the red zone plenty of times. You know, what are the chances that it happens? So let's go ahead and answer this question real quick for Sean. What's up, Sean? Oh, man, half-point PPR. Pick 2 wide receivers and a flex. Tyler Boyd, Jamison Crowder, Robert Woods, Kenny Golladay, Terry McLaurin, and Jonathan Taylor. This one's tough for me. This one's tough because you got a bunch of great options. I mean, which way do you want to go?
I got my 3 right in a row. Can't be sitting Crowder, Golladay, and McLaurin right now. Give me all 3 of those. Pop them in the lineup and watch them go.
I'm pretty much right there with you on that. Yeah.
Who do the Rams have this week? I don't have that up right now.
The Rams have a good matchup because I'm going to be talking about Goff in a minute. They're playing the 49ers.
Yeah, they are. That just got torched by Miami.
Oh, man. I think they're going to be pissed off coming back hungry. I'm going to go Jamison Crowder, Kenny Galladay, and McLaurin. I mean, how do you have a team like this? Like, what?
I know. That's
amazing.
Good job drafting.
Great job, Sean.
Dino Gore. All right, let's go ahead and head on to the next guy.
Yeah, okay.
All right, next guy.
Wait. Oh, did you want to answer? I'm sorry.
With that question, I just noticed this. Jonathan Taylor is playing Cincinnati.
He is.
Ooh.
I mean, wow. You want to talk about an opportunity for a breakout game against one of the worst defenses in the league? I think I know the usage hasn't been great, but oh God, man. McLaurin, Galladay.
I think you're winning with all these. Like, I don't think it's really a bad decision.
Yeah.
So.
I agree.
All right.
Don't think that.
Maybe Tyler Boyd is like the odd man out in this case. Maybe.
Yeah. I think Boyd is a no-go, but rest of them are gold.
All right, cool.
All right, next on the list, we have Devontae Parker. I mean, Fitzmagic had a day this week, didn't he? And Preston Williams saw a lot of that action. But the fact was, if you're watching the game, all they were doing was attacking practice squad player Brian Allen, and he was getting torched. I think everything shifts back to Parker this week, who still had 50 yards and a touchdown, the touchdown against Allen, of course. He's getting the Jets, who, while they come in as the 14th team against opposing wideouts, that was seriously aided by the Week 2 game against the 49ers, who had no healthy wide receivers to speak of, and Jimmy G went down at halftime. And if you remember correctly, that's the game that Jordan Reed went off and had 2 touchdowns at the half. If you take that game out, the Jets are bottom third in the league against opposing wide receivers. Parker is still, regardless of what you saw in the box score last week, is still the number 1 in Miami. I expect him to go off against the Jets this week.
All right. I'll take that. I can roll with that. I can get it. That. I can dig it. I can dig it. You can dig it. We can dig it.
All right. I'll jump in real fast. I got a guy going. This is going to be kind of a weird one. Brandon Cooks. Yes, he had the big game last week, 8 for 161 and a touchdown. He was on the field for 82% of the snaps. He had 20% of the target share. It has not been pretty with Deshaun Watson, but I think that they're going to start getting something going. I would be willing to get Cooks in there as a flex play going up against Tennessee. Obviously, it's going to be I think it's going to be a tough game, but I think this has shootout potential written all over it. And I think Watson's going to get a couple of deep balls to Cooks and Fuller to stay in this game. So light them up.
Is Adoree Jackson still out?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's fire. That's fire. I like it. I'm a little bit concerned that they're going to put a little bit too much pressure on Watson. That's going to allow Cooks to get down the field, but I can understand exactly where you're coming from when it comes to big play, potential. I might opt to go with Will Fuller in this one, but I can understand Brandon Cooks.
Yep.
All right. Chenault right here, you already brought him up earlier, so I'm not going to spend too much time on him. But he's getting the touches and the targets both. He's on pace for 102.4 touches this season. And each week, it just keeps getting sweeter and sweeter, baby. I love it. I love the taste of Chenault in my mouth. Yeah, I said that. He saw a season high 8 targets, and he caught 7 of them. He's 16th in the NFL in receptions, guys. 16th in the NFL in receptions. He's 9th in yards after the catch. He's caught 23 of 28 targets, and his team is 5th in the NFL in passing attempts. Smash play. Let's go. Smash that start. Let's do it.
Across the board. Yep. Nothing but love for Chenault there.
100%. I love it.
I came in wanting to write about Shark, and then I ended up picking Chenault instead. So
crazy how that works, huh?
Yeah. Just dive into the research and you just see the matchups and stuff. And Chenault's just so much a better option,
Well, we got Shark as the fantasy darling of the offseason, and now it's wheels up on Chenault everywhere.
I still like Shark this week. I'm still playing Shark, but the numbers just led me to buy into, Chenault a little bit more than Shark, because Shark's going to need that big play, potential, that big play upside.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. Next question. All right, actually, hold on. We had a question coming over there from, I believe, Brad. Let me go back to my StreamYard screen. I only have one screen. I need like 10 of them. I need 10 of them so I can do all this. So we did have a question coming in from Brad. Start Jefferson versus the Falcons. Andy Isabella and any cards, wide receivers, against the Cowboys. Ooh, Jefferson lets people down, man.
That looks
Jefferson
like a statement to me. I don't even know if that's a question, guys. I think he's just telling us to play them all, but Jefferson's the play if we have to pick one.
Oh, yeah. Get him in.
We'll treat it as a question. I don't know if it was or not, but it's all good. We do have another question lining up here in a second. Truman, we'll get to you, but let's go into the intro for this next segment, go over a guy, and then we'll go over to Truman's question.
So this is the outside of the top 20 wide receiver and running back, outside the top 15 quarterback and tight end. There's a chance to finish at top 12 in their position.
Who's the first guy?
First guy we have, and I've made this call before, Jared Goff coming in at quarterback 17. The last time we did this, he finished quarterback 2. I see a huge week for him. Going against the 49ers, they're middle of the pack in points allowed against opposing quarterbacks, 16th, so dead center. But the fact is, they faced Sam Darnold, Carson Wentz, and Daniel Jones, and Kyler Murray. But if you're coming in middle of the pack facing that trash, I'm not worried about anything with that defense. Goff continues his hot streak, 275 and 2 to 3 touchdowns, which will land him far ahead that quarterback 17 ranking. The last time I pounded the table for him, you know what happened. He lit it up. He's going to do it for you again. Absolutely. Yep. That was the Cooper Kupp Goff stack that won my DFS. $9 I won, still rolling Wendy's with that. He's going to do it again. 275, 2 to 3 touches, top 12 option. Put him in your lineup. Feel confident Goff goes off this week.
I like that. And that is right there, borderline for top 12. So let's roll with that. All right, Beezy, what you got? You got a quarterback for us?
Oh, this is going to be kind of gross. I'm sorry to have to do this, but we'll take a shot here and say Nick Foles will be a top 12 quarterback this week against Carolina. Why the hell not? The defense is their defense is terrible. They need a game that gets some energy back in that team. They need to get their chemistry going again. They need to just, get some stuff moving here. Foles isn't great, but he's dirt cheap, and he is quarterback 19 on ESPN. So I'll take a shot on him against Carolina as a top 12 quarterback.
That could make sense. It could make sense because, the Bears, they might actually be losing this game, and Foles might actually have garbage time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But it is going to be a low-scoring game, so it scares me a little bit, but I definitely see where you're coming from. So I wanted to go Kyle Allen. I really did. I wanted to go Kyle Allen up against the Giants, but I can't. I can't bring myself to say that Kyle Allen's going to finish as a top 12 quarterback. I just can't do it. I believe Kyle Allen is the starter over there in Washington, even with the whole Alex Smith thing happening. I believe he's a starter. But, man, I couldn't go with him. So I'm going to go Drew Lock up against the Patriots. Dangerous? Oh, yes. Very dangerous. But I like it. You can't run on the Patriots at all. And I'm thinking that Newton is going to have a field day. So give me Drew Lock in a position where this team is just so excited. They're elated to have a good quarterback back at the helm. And, Drew Lock didn't play that poorly over his first, 5 quarters before he ended up getting hurt. The Patriots have allowed multiple touchdowns in 3 out of 4 weeks to the quarterback. Plus, they allowed Russell Wilson and Mahomes to get some yards on the ground. And we all know that Drew Lock has some wheels on him, baby. He has some wheels. He can take off at any point in time. I think we could see a rushing touchdown up against these guys and potentially 2 passing touchdowns. I'm not saying that he's going to, be QB1 on the week or anything, but if you're looking for an option as a quarterback streamer, I think he might be the best bet outside of Jared Goff, who I was actually going to pick before you took him.
Mike. Here's what I like about this call. There's 2 things I love about the lock call. Number 1, you're gonna have the rookie on Fant who's coming back. He practiced today. And number 2, you have Stephon Gilmore on the COVID list. I don't believe the time frame allows time for him to get back on the field after testing positive. So they're going to be down the defensive player of the year. The Patriots aren't going to be run on. I think they stopped the run. I think the pass is where it's at, and I like Lock this week against my hometown Pats.
I'll take that. Take that for sure. All right. Let's go ahead and hop on this question real quick. Hey, boys. Dak was my starter, so I'm in need of a quarterback. Dude, your question's so long, it's taking up Beezy's face, man. Come on. He's in need of a quarterback, right? Would it be worth trading either Anderson or Crowder for Lamar Jackson? I have depth in the wide receiver spot, as I have Adams, Godwin, and Galladay also. What should he do, guys? What should he do? If you can get Lamar Jackson for Anderson or Crowder, I would take and run with it. I don't know why you're on here listening to us instead of actually proposing that trade, but
if it's proposed, smash it right now and just be happy.
Yep. Especially with that wide receiver, core backed up. I would send them both for Lamar Jackson. I'm pretty sure.
I would too. I'd try for Anderson if I could. I'd try to hold Crowder out of those two. But to give up either, if I had to, give up both if needed. Lamar Jackson's going to be back to being Lamar Jackson after his bye week. He got one more week, then he's back rolling. We're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, is it like I don't even know, like a quarterback, like stifling instead of premium? Stiflization?
It could be a stifle league. He's going to be a RB1 when he comes back. I'm not worried about even quarterback points. The man's going to run it in a bunch.
Well, he also doesn't look good, by the way, guys. He has not looked good so far this season. But either way,
but he has 1 week. He's got Philly right now. Then he has a bye week, and then they'll get him right. I think I want to say it was a hamstring piece. I don't know if you know this, but I know he tweaked something. He just hasn't looked like himself. But I think the bye week will get him right.
Yeah, absolutely. I would take it and run with it. Take it and run with it. And just like Lamar Jackson would. But did Lamar Jackson actually finish with -1 yards last week? I didn't check the stats at the end of the game.
He only rushed twice, 2 carries all game. That was his lowest rush attempts in his career. So
that's crazy, man. They're trying to keep him in the pocket, trying to keep him up on his feet. All right, onto the running back position. Let's roll.
Running back position, we have beat this man to death. Let's give him one more run here. Chase Edmonds, Dallas giving up the 19th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. They made Devonta Freeman look like a legitimate NFL player. High-scoring game coming up, potentials for touchdowns on the ground. Edmonds is currently sitting at running back 25. That's a smash for me. I think he puts up points against this pathetic defense. I'm putting him in my lineup everywhere I have them without hesitation whatsoever.
Yep. I don't think we need to discuss it. We pretty much already did. All right, Beezy, what you got? Who's your running back outside the top 20 that you think could finish as a top 12 running back?
I mean, Swift was one of my big ones. If I had to take a shot on another guy here, I am going to have to kind of go a little bit low. I'm going to go with another rookie here, and I'm going to go J.K. Dobbins at Philly. I know it sounds a little crazy. But he is getting pretty involved in that passing game. We're going to take a deep shot here. I'm a dynasty guy, so redraft is not really my thing. But I'm going to put him in and just say, you know what? Let's roll the dice here. He's getting the volume of the passing game a little bit more. If they can get him some more consistent touches, Mark Ingram isn't really. I just don't think he's anything special. Gus Edwards I like, but I think they're going to start to give Dobbins a rock a little bit more here down the stretch just to keep Ingram fresh for the playoffs and see what this kid's got. So I'm going to roll with him.
That's ballsy. It
is. It's really ballsy. That's why I kind of said, ooh, I don't know if I want to say this, but I'm going to because hell, what the hell?
You said it, brother.
I did.
Said it.
I'll jack it on Twitter too. Just
Wait, you're jacking what?
Can you wait till we turn off the live stream at least?
I've already had an issue with that before, okay?
Is this the Troy Bestie moment right here, dude? Is that one?
Oh, my God. All right, so J.K. Dobbins in week 4 had the second most snaps. In week 3 had the most snaps, but this past week had the least amount of snaps. He scares me, man. In Philadelphia's defense, that run defense is vicious, man. I've watched multiple films from them so far this year with the running backs, and dude, they are tough to run on. Like teams are still able to do it because they're having the ball most of the time with Carson Wentz unable to keep time possession. So you're seeing yards pile up, but they're not easy yards. They're very, very difficult yards.
That's why I think it's J.K. Dobbins, because Ingram is just not going to have much room to run. They're going to need to get somebody in there to produce, and I think Dobbins is going to be the kid that's going to be able to push his way around in that defense.
Okay, I could see that. Now, you're a jerk because you took my guy earlier in this episode, but I'm going to go ahead and smash it again with Swift, right? Because that's who's going to finish up as a top 12 running back this week. That's right. Swift is going to be top 12 this week, and I don't care who knows it. In fact, everybody's going to know it by the end of this week. But, yeah, Swift led the team in snaps for week 2. And I had a premature celebration, in week 3, right? Only to watch him get 6 freaking snaps last week. In week 3.
Yes.
6 freaking snaps in week 3, right? But he came back strong for me in week 4, saw 52 total yards and a touchdown. I mean, it's kind of strong. It's like a a Chubb strong, not like like a rock hard strong, but it's like a Chubb strong. And he's coming off the bye, right? Against a Jags team that allows the 25th most points to the running back. Now, with them allowing most of the points on the ground, common sense says that you should go Peterson. But I think that Peterson, although he does have a safer floor, his upside's limited. He does not have top 12 upside like Swift has because he's not involved in the passing game. And Swift is very heavily involved in the passing game. So I think this week, not even I think, I know that Swift is going to have the breakout performance that we've been waiting for this week up against Jacksonville. Swift will finish as a top 12 running back. What do you guys think?
Love it.
I had to go search for somebody because I didn't want to say Swift again when I just said him, so I had to go search on somebody else.
Oh man, this is like the Swift Love podcast. There is
no
doubt in my mind he's going to go off. There's no argument here.
Swift, DeAndre Swift, come join our podcast. We'll make you feel all warm and fluffy inside.
We'll love you right, buddy. We will love you right.
That was kind of creepy, I feel like. All right.
Now we'll move on to wide receivers before anyone gets awkward. I have a mustache. I shouldn't be saying shit like that. Next up is the perennially underrated Jarvis Landry coming in at wide receiver 36. I don't know where the hate comes from for this guy, but he's going against the Pittsburgh team that is getting abused through the air. They've given up 2 touchdowns to wide receivers every game with the exception of the Broncos, and that was against Dump Truck Driscoll. We're not going to count that game.
Linda
knows that. He's coming off of 9 targets. Wide receiver 36 for a guy of this talent is legitimately insulting. I think he has a big week this week. Look for, 7 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown. I think he far exceeds his rankings right now on ESPN.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, wide receiver 36 is just bogus. I know that they struggle with volume over there, but I like Landry a lot. Landry always gets the volume, or Landry always gets the targets, right? Has he had an off week in targets yet?
Not that I'm aware of. I think he's done it every single week.
Mr. Consistent right there.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead and hit him Beezy. I'm going to look it up real quick. I'm going to look up his target numbers, but go ahead and give your guy wide receiver.
Well, you went off and you said Drew Lock was going to be a top 12 quarterback, so he's going to need a top 12 receiver to throw to, so let's go Jerry Jeudy. 7.7 targets per game, 19% target share in that offense, pretty consistent throughout the year. If Stephon Gilmore is out and Drew Lock is going to be playing from behind and they're going to be throwing that ball, Jerry Jeudy is going to be the one catching it. So line him up because I'm pretty sure Fant's out as well. I don't think he's back yet. I could be wrong. I think he's
Fant is back. He's practicing today, so I believe he might play iffy.
Regardless, Judy's a top 12 option for me this week with playing in New England and being behind garbage time.
So Jarvis Landry did actually have 2 off weeks. One was up against Cincinnati. The other one was up against Washington. But looking teams. The thing is when I'm looking at it, Baltimore 10th up against the wide receiver, Cincinnati 11th up against the wide receiver, Washington 4th up against the wide receiver, and Indianapolis 7th up against the wide receiver.
Ooh, okay.
The only team that they actually didn't face a tough pass defense up against the wide receiver was Dallas. And, we all know what happened there. But that makes it really, really interesting moving forward because Pittsburgh is 27th up against the wide receiver. Mm-hmm. So we could actually see a big week out of Jarvis Landry again. I mean, at least double-digit fantasy points minimum.
Yep. In the 2 games you referenced, you remember correctly, when they had 4 targets and 3 targets, he was struggling with the hip injury, wasn't practicing, was questionable leading up to both games. So he had a little bit of a decoy role. So I'm going to take those and put him aside a little bit. I think more what you're seeing is the 6 to 9 targets is what you can expect. And against the Pittsburgh defense, that's going to play.
That's interesting. Very interesting. All right. I might have to look more into that for DFS. All right. My wide receiver, right? Or actually, did you want to give your thoughts, Mike, on Beezy's?
No, I like it. I like the fact with Gilmore out. I have no concern with that. I mean, Lock's got to throw to somebody, especially if Fant is out. I expect Judy to put up numbers. So good call.
Absolutely. All right. This Dallas-Arizona game, this scoring could be through the roof, right? Like this could be the highest scoring game on the week. So I'm looking at CeeDee Lamb. I'm looking at him with hearts in my eyes and a heart on in my pants.
Ooh.
Telling you, like it's throbbing right now. Let's just say that.
Ooh.
So I love CeeDee Lamb this week. I know he has Byron Murphy, and Byron Murphy's playing in the slot, and he's been playing well so far this year. So that kind of scares me off a little bit. But they play a lot of zone over there, and Crowder just went 8 for 10 for like 116 yards and a touchdown. Meanwhile, Kirkpatrick and Patrick Peterson have been dominant on the outside. They've actually been really, really good on the outside so far this season. If we see Lamb in coverage, right, up against a linebacker, which has happened, by the way, this is a thing for the Cardinals. For some reason, the Cardinals like to put Devondre Campbell and Jordan Hicks up against the slot receivers, and they leave them in single coverage. And if you do that to CeeDee Lamb, it's going to be game over. It's going to be game over. CeeDee Lamb could easily put up 2 touchdowns and 150 yards this week. It's not out of the range of outcomes. And when I talk about them covering the slot receiver, this is not just once or twice. I went through the StatHead database, right? And I was looking at it, and there was at least 6 or 7 times minimum that they were in single coverage up against the slot receiver. It makes no sense to me. Multiple times, not just once, multiple times. I'm telling you guys, CeeDee just needs an opportunity. And honestly, I think Dallas might be playing from behind in this one. So opportunities should be aplenty. I think CeeDee Lamb could smash this week.
I like it, man. I like it a lot. And I will just throw this out there that I would not be surprised. Like, this is just mine. I would not be surprised if Michael Gallup outscores CeeDee Lamb this week in the game.
Oh, man.
Oh, man, you just stole my take.
Thunder, baby.
Oh, man. I mean, Andy Dalton was
light him up
at Michael Gallup the same way that I stare at a nice pizza. I mean, he was looking at him. He was drooling. He was hitting the ball there. The big concern that I have, I love CeeDee Lamb. I mean, he is a man among boys. He's an absolute stud. Is Dalton going to look his way enough to make that come true? If he does, I think, huge numbers.
Yeah.
But if he keeps focusing on Gallup the way he was, I mean, he was looking at that first read and firing. That's the only thing that makes me nervous.
Well, keep in mind, too, to your point, keep in mind that John Ross, when he was healthy, right, and playing with Andy Dalton, that's the same role that Gallup's playing. That outside deep target on the left-hand side. And guess what? Dalton knows how to look left, unlike Dak Prescott. He can turn left.
I like it.
He can turn left. I just turned left in my chair. I don't know. It might have been right on the screen, but
no, I think it's left on the screen because we're all backwards.
That works.
All right. So let's get to tight end. And Chase, I am so thankful for this gig. There is so many things I love about this job. I love doing this weekly. I love talking to the people in the comment section. What I don't love is picking a tight end outside the top 15 with bye weeks happening.
Oh, God. It's so gross.
It was disgusting. And then ESPN literally just gave me the fist and put my boy Tanyan at 14 just to make life difficult. So what I was looking for was that piece of corn in the pile of shit. And what I
Who
came
says
up
that?
with, I just did. I don't know if it's a thing, but it will be now.
That's a New England thing.
I came up with, thanks for the backup, Beezy.
I got you.
Came up with Tyler Higbee. And
fucker.
I don't want Twitter going off saying that Mike loves Tyler Higbee because they all hate him, and then I'll lose followers. And to be honest, I not that I give 2 shits, but it'll happen.
You love Tyler Higbee?
I do. I love him the same way the fat kid loves cake. But I'm going with Tyler Higbee because the 49ers, they're 7th against the tight end because they played Arnold, Herndon, Ingram in the corpse of Zach Ertz. And finally, they get someone who's not a complete pile of garbage, but not my favorite, as you know, Mike Gesicki. They gave up 94 and a touchdown to the tight ends. I love that Shaheen got the touchdown because fuck you, Gesicki lovers, but he still put up 92 yards there. Higbee's complete crap, inconsistent targets, but this is a matchup where at least you can use them. I'm thinking 10 to 14 points for the overhyped preseason darling. And honestly, that's all I can do with the pile of shit that I was given a pick from this week. So don't love him, but he might not be completely useless is the best I can give you today.
Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
It's tough, man. This landscape is tough. Beezy, obviously you were going with Higby, so do you want me to?
No, I got.
Are you ready?
I'm gonna go with another one here. I'm gonna go with the guy I didn't even see on the top 25 list. Irv Smith Jr. going up against Atlanta. Let's just go deep. This kid, he got 68% of the snaps last week, saw 5 targets, 4 catches, 64 yards. He has pretty much been a bust for the most of the year, but the thing with Irv Smith is he was never a target this year. He was a target for next year in Dynasty. This year, you're just kind of starting to see him get into that offense a little bit more, hopefully get some more passing down work. Justin Jefferson kind of screwed this up a little bit for him. But I do think with Atlanta, it's going to be a shootout. There's going to be a lot of throwing going on. Cousins is going to need his get his targets. I think Irv Smith could have a big game here as a deep tight end sleeper this week.
So big shout out to Aaron Yankel out there because we were sitting there talking about Noah Fant and how I was a little bit afraid of Noah Fant's efficiency and his, the passes that he did catch. He had I want to say it was 38%. This is back in the summertime, so I don't remember exactly, but it was 38% of his yards came on 3 catches. So, I was afraid of Noah Fant, and I was like, I think it's just too early to buy. It's too early for me to buy into him. He's like, man, right now, it's the perfect time for Dynasty. Too early is always the perfect time to buy. Yep. And Irv Smith Jr., it's too early for him, but he's 22 years old. This is his second year in the league, and he's 22 years old. He's a specimen with his speed, and he can do stuff with the ball in his hands. I mean, I like Irv Smith, and I actually was going to put him as my pickup of the week and actually pick up and play, but we ran out of time, so I didn't want to take time out of the other sections of this. So I love Irv Smith Jr. this week. I think it'd be a smash play and a very sneaky DFS play. Mm-hmm. He's got an amazing matchup, like you said, up against Atlanta, who cannot guard tight ends. We saw Tanyan just absolutely go off. I love this pick. I almost had it as mine, but I went a different direction.
Ooh, let's see it. Hear it.
What you got?
Oh, God, I don't want to say it.
You have to now.
This is such a gross week for tight ends, streaming tight ends. And I love streaming tight ends. And I still am struggling to figure out which tight end I want to stream. This is gross. It's so gross. Trey Burton.
No, I knew you were going to go there. That's Yep.
He was targeted the second most on his team.
He was.
This past week.
Mm-hmm.
The Bengals have allowed double-digit fantasy points in 3 of their 5 matchups. Now, their matchups were Mark Andrews, Zach Ertz, and I think Darren Waller or something like that. But still, I mean, maybe Trey Burton's as good as those guys, right? Right?
Maybe.
Oh, it's so bad.
Oh, God. This is gross.
Yeah,
it's so gross. Can I just say Travis Kelce?
You should. But if Mo Alley Cox is out, I don't hate it in a lot of ways.
Yeah, Mo Alley Cox got hurt, but Mo Alley Cox hasn't been that involved in the offense.
He hasn't. But
he's been getting lucky with his touchdowns, and I love Mo Alley Cox, by the way. He was a major pickup for me. Now he's a major drop because I just don't know if he's going to see the targets. And Phillip Rivers is so bad. He's terrible. So bad. Why, dude? Honestly, the Colts should consider trading for Dak Prescott or Matt Ryan, although both those, Matt Ryan's contract is tough, but the Colts should consider doing something at quarterback, major, because, I think Dak Prescott would actually fit in well because Phillip Rivers is actually on a 1-year contract. So by the time that, Phillip Rivers is out of town, Dak Prescott can step in and be that guy. And they have a Super Bowl contending team, in my opinion. They're just not doing well because Phillip Rivers is so bad.
Yep.
So if they're going to do that, I think you have to roll Eason, at least for the second half of the year. You got to see what you have in the kid before you go big investing.
But if they trade, I'm saying they should trade for him right now. Matt Ryan after the season. I'm sorry, Dak Prescott this year.
Well, Dak Prescott's done too, so neither of them are going to play this year, right?
Yeah, but they wouldn't roll out Eason for Prescott.
No, what I'm saying is that I'm rolling out Eason before I'm putting in a big investment into either of those guys. Let me see what I have. If you're thinking Rivers isn't the guy, I'm pulling him now and seeing what I have in the kid before I go big with Ryan or Prescott.
What's their record right now? 1-4?
Yeah, I believe so.
I think so. Yeah, it's not ideal. So why aren't we seeing guys?
They're also dealing with a lot of injuries too at the wide receiver position, so that's another big part to it as well. Phillip Rivers is just not good.
Colts are 3-2, believe it or not.
Wait, I thought they were what? Who was? I think it was 1-4.
Texans.
Oh, I was sitting there thinking that the other day. I was like, why aren't they doing so?
Reversed?
That makes more sense. I'm sorry, audience. I am so sorry. That was my fault. I'm an asshole. What I said was not true. Now, we're about to get out of here, guys. So, Beezy, real quick, can you let everybody know where to find you?
At the Beezy BFF on Twitter. You can catch me at the Undroppables, on the podcast Unscripted, and at Sons of Dynasty.
So we're going to be doing this as a podcast episode. Not everybody knows exactly how to spell your name. Can you spell out Beezy for us real quick?
Yeah, it's Beezy. So at the DABEEZYFF. Does that make sense?
Let's still do it again. Do it again.
Threw like 12 E's in
Do
there.
it again.
Shit, I would like B. So it's
I'm leaving this in.
DABEEZYFF. I had to write it down while I was saying it on Twitter, my man. And then at Unscripted is a podcast.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Thank you,
And of
guys.
course,
I appreciate you.
No, man, it's been fun. It's been fun. I love doing Wednesday nights, man. You're a superstar, and we love having you on.
Hey, dude, I love being here. Hopefully, brought you guys some. I tried to bring a little hotness to this episode. Some dives that people might not make on you, you know.
Yeah, dude. The weird thing was we were in agreement for the majority of the episode.
Yeah, we were.
Like, we were kind of reading each other's minds. Like, it was kind of weird.
Dude, I've been reading. I follow you on Twitter, man. I see what you're putting up there, and we got a lot of similar takes, dude. I'll tell you that right now.
We do. All right, guys. Thank you all for coming in, and thank you for letting us intervene with your fantasy football life. We're out.